Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. I'm going to talk to you today about trying to find a cheap, grain-free dog food. I know that grain-free dog food is expensive, and the stuff that I feed my dogs Barking Heads and Harringtons, and it's great for the job, but I know that it's expensive. But what I also know is that if your dog has hot spots, you have to have them on a grain-free food. It just is what it is. If I had not kept Albert here on grain-free food, we would never have beaten the hotspots that we did. And I'm getting contacted by a lot of you saying I just can't afford it, and it's awful, and I have to find a solution to this problem because I cannot have dogs out there in the world suffering with hotspots because dog food is too expensive, and so I have to find a solution to it. So that's what I'm going to do. So this video isn't about the solution I've found. It's just letting you know that I'm hearing you. I know this is a massive problem. Hotspots is a massive problem, and not having and dog food being too expensive is a problem. I'm going to get this sorted out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment. So I'm going to get all my bits together, and this weekend I'm going to get in my kitchen and I'm going to experiment. And I'm going to try various different things. So I'm going to hit this from two angles. I'm going to hit it from a home cooking perspective, see if I can cook food that's grain free, obviously, and if it can come out cheap. I'm also going to hunt high and low different food companies and see if I can find a food company that does a grain free food that is affordable. So the first thing that I'm going to hit this weekend is trying to come up with a recipe for a food that feeds dogs that is grain free and doesn't cost you too much money, and also doesn't take you hours to cook because I know how busy everybody is. So how I'm thinking, this is what's going down my head at the moment. I don't know about in your country, but in the UK at the moment, fresh meat is expensive. First things first. The food that I'm going to come up with has to be, I absolutely 100% am against dogs being fed a vegan diet. 100% against it. I've seen so many dogs suffering terrible with hot spots, and it's because that grain is part of their diet because it has to be to bulk the food out because there's no meat in it. So 100% against that. So the dog food that I use at the moment is 80% of the dog food is actual meat or fish. There's another one I use where 65% of the dog food is meat or fish. And I know that there lies the problem because that's why it's so expensive. So what I'm thinking is if we drop to 50%. So 50% of the food recipe I come up with will be meat or fish, and 50% will be vegetables and herbs. If you don't understand about dog ingredients, dog composition in dog food and all of that, I go into a really detailed video about it. Just go to the playlist, go to feeding dogs, and it's all in there. So the other criteria is that it's got to be cheap enough. It has to be. I mean, I spend hundreds every week feeding my dogs. Every month. So it's got to be affordable. So what I'm thinking at the moment is maybe frozen meat. So I'm going to look in the supermarket, look at the frozen meat section and see what I can come up with. Now, the important things to remember are white fish. It's a bit bizarre, but white fish seems to trigger hot spots. I've seen it in Albert and I've seen it in other dogs. Beef is the other thing. Something about beef triggers hot spots. I don't know why, but it does. It definitely 100% does. Pork, the fat content on pork is dangerous for dogs, so never feed a dog pork. So that pretty much leaves us with lamb, turkey, and chicken. Chicken is really expensive at the moment, and I don't know how. I don't eat lamb, so I don't know if it's expensive or not. So I'll have a look at it. Turkey, I'm thinking, because the fat content will be low. There's never going to be, like sometimes if you buy mince, it can be 15% fat content. Well, that's way too high for a dog. So I'm going to look at frozen turkey mince. That's what I'm thinking. And frozen vegetables. At the moment, we've got a vegetable shortage in the UK. Absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me started. But we have. And so therefore, vegetables are quite expensive. So just generally, I think frozen vegetables are cheaper than fresh vegetables. So I'm going to look at fresh vegetables, see how expensive they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start I'll get a selection of meats and stuff. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook it. I'm going to weigh it out into the portions. So it's the same equivalent to the portions that my boys are fed now. And then I'm going to work out how much it cost me. And then I will let you know that. Then I will give you the actual recipe. And then, so Albert weighs 10 kilos, which is quite lucky because then it's easy for you to work out from there how much you need for your dog. For people, I always think it's quite, well, not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. But the fact that the dog that suffers the most with hot spots is Bichons are quite handy because that means they're small and they don't eat as much food. But some of you have contacted me and you've got big dogs, and that's a problem. That's a real big problem. I'm not quite sure how we're going to get over that, but trust me, we will. So I can't have dogs suffering with hot spots. I just can't have it at all. And I got to the bottom of Albert's and I sorted him all out, and we haven't had hot spots for absolutely years. But this is a new problem that's come along. And trust me, I will get it sorted out. So I'm going to have a play around this weekend. So today is Thursday. No, it's not. What's today? Today's Wednesday. So this video's going out on a Wednesday. I don't normally put a video out on Wednesday. That's why it's confusing me. So I put a video out on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So today is just because I just wanted to let you know what I'm doing. Tomorrow's video is about why dogs eat grass and some research I did on that. But Tuesday's video after the weekend will be what I found out over the weekend. Hopefully it's going to be a recipe that's cheap that you can do. So, excuse me, it's hay fever season. So bear with me. I'm going to research this weekend. In my kitchen all weekend. I will get this nailed. I will get it sorted out, and then I will post my findings so you will know what happened on Tuesday. And then I will keep going until I've come up with a selection of recipes for your dogs. And then, like I said, the next thing I will hit is the pet shops are hunting high and low to find a dog food where it's at least 50% meat or fish and 50% vegetables and herbs, and isn't too expensive and isn't a dry food. Someone contacted me recently and said about their dry food, the composition was really good, and it was. I think it was 60% meat, which for a dry food is incredible, because on the whole, dry food is like 12%. It's absolutely shocking. And the first ingredient is always a cereal or a grain, and that is just going to activate, and it's just going to cause the hot spots to get really bad. But even if you've got a dry dog food where the actual composition and the meat is above 50%, I still think dry dog food aggravates hot spots. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. So, but don't think for 1 second that I'm not hearing you. I'm hearing you. It is expensive to feed dogs a grain-free food. But believe me, I will get to the bottom of this, and I will come up with a solution for this, so that just because, that all dogs can go onto a grain-free food where they don't have to suffer with hot spots. So leave it with me. Let me get down to business in my kitchen this weekend, and I will speak to you on Tuesday. As always, you know where I am. Contact me. Ask me questions. Somebody asked me a question the other day, which I thought was a good point. Flea treatment. What do I use for that? Now, I use a Spot On. The liquid that you put on the back of the neck, and it's never caused any problem. Even though it's going directly onto the skin, it hasn't ever caused any problems with Albert. Never caused any flare-ups of any hot spots or anything. But you know where I am. Ask me the questions. I will help as much as I can. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have a great day, and I'm going to see you on Tuesday with a recipe. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.